When was the last time you actually looked through your bank statements, not just your current balance, but the last 30, 60, or even 90 days of transactions? For most people, the answer is probably only when something goes wrong. We check our account when a big bill is coming, when payday is still a few days away, or when a debit card gets declined at the worst possible moment. But by then, you're not budgeting anymore. You're reacting, and that's the problem. What if you could take your recent bank history, look at the actual numbers, identify where your money has been going, and use that information to build a much stronger plan for your upcoming paychecks? Instead of guessing how much you spend on groceries, subscriptions, dining out, gas, entertainment, or bills, you could let your own financial history show you the truth. Today, we're going to talk about turning those old bank statements into a powerful budgeting tool. Your statements aren't just boring PDFs sitting inside your online banking portal. They're a financial record of your habits. And when you organize that information around your actual paycheck schedule, you can start seeing something your basic bank balance doesn't always show: how much money is truly committed, how much is available, and where your spending patterns are creating problems. This is where PaycheckPlanner.ai can become incredibly useful. Because the goal isn't simply to know what happened yesterday. The goal is to use yesterday's information to make tomorrow's money decisions smarter. Here's the uncomfortable truth. Most people are terrible at tracking small purchases from memory. You might remember paying your mortgage, car payment, insurance, and electric bill. But what about the $5 coffee, the $12 lunch, the convenience store stop, the streaming service you forgot was still active, the random online purchase that seemed harmless at the time? Individually, these transactions don't feel significant, but multiply them across several weeks, and suddenly hundreds of dollars have disappeared without ever being intentionally included in your budget. That's why manually guessing your spending doesn't work very well. Your memory tells you a story, but your bank statements tell you the math. And the math doesn't care whether the purchase felt important. It simply records what happened. The problem is that bank statements aren't designed to make budgeting easy. You download a PDF, open it, and suddenly you're staring at pages of dates, merchant names, transaction amounts, balances, and codes that can feel more like a tax document than a useful financial planning tool. Even when your bank provides a CSV file, you may still need to clean and organize the information before it becomes useful. That's where having a budgeting system built around your actual cash flow can make a difference. Instead of asking yourself, "Where did all my money go?" you can start asking better questions. Which expenses repeat every month? Which purchases are optional? Which bills are tied to specific paychecks? And which spending habits are quietly draining money that could be going toward savings or debt? So let's turn this into an actual process. Step 1 is simple. Pull your financial history. Log into your bank's online portal and look for the Statements or Transaction History section. Ideally, pull between 60 and 90 days of information. 30 days can give you a snapshot, but 60 to 90 days gives you a better chance of identifying recurring bills, subscriptions, irregular expenses, and spending patterns that don't happen every single week. If your bank provides a downloadable CSV containing transaction data, that's often easier to work with because the information is already structured into rows and columns. If your bank primarily provides PDF statements, those can still be useful, but you may need to organize or convert the information before importing it into another system. Step 2 is cleaning and formatting the data. You want your transaction history to have clear information such as the date, description, and amount. You also want to make sure deposits and withdrawals aren't accidentally reversed or duplicated. This matters because garbage data creates garbage conclusions. If a $400 bill gets entered as a $40 expense, your budget is going to tell you a very different story. Once your historical data is organized, don't just look at individual transactions. Look for patterns. What bills show up every month? How much are you spending on food? How often are you making impulse purchases? Are there subscriptions you aren't using? Your goal is to turn a pile of transactions into a financial map you can actually use. Now comes the part that can completely change how you think about budgeting. Connect your spending history to your paychecks. A monthly budget can be useful, but your bills don't necessarily arrive according to your monthly calendar, and your income may not arrive on the first day of every month. Maybe you're paid every Friday. Maybe you're paid every 2 weeks. Maybe your income schedule is completely different. That means you need to understand not just how much money you spend, but when you need that money. This is where PaycheckPlanner.ai can help you organize your financial picture around your paycheck schedule. Instead of looking at a giant monthly number and hoping everything works out, you can start thinking in individual pay periods. Which bills need to be covered by this paycheck? What expenses are coming before the next payday? How much should remain available for groceries, gas, savings, debt payments, and everyday spending? Your historical bank statements give you the evidence, while your paycheck plan gives that evidence a job. You can identify recurring expenses, recognize patterns, and build a more realistic plan based on how you actually use your money. And here's the important part. Don't use your historical spending as an excuse to keep repeating it. If your statements show that you're spending $300 a month on takeout, that doesn't mean your new budget has to automatically accept $300. It means you've discovered a behavior you can evaluate. The purpose of historical data isn't to judge your past. It's to help you make better decisions about your future. So here's the big takeaway. You can't fix a spending leak you refuse to look at. If you only check your bank account when you're worried, you're always going to be one step behind your money. Instead, go backward before you move forward. Pull those old statements. Review 60 to 90 days of transactions. Identify your recurring bills, subscriptions, everyday spending, unusual expenses, and financial leaks. Then organize those expenses around the paychecks that actually fund them. That's how you move from simply having a budget to having a cash flow system. And remember, your historical spending isn't a life sentence. If your statements reveal habits you don't like, that's actually good news because now you can see them. You can't change what you can't identify. PaycheckPlanner.ai can help you bring your paychecks, bills, expenses, and financial goals into one organized picture so you're not flying blind every time payday arrives. So here's your challenge. Download your most recent 60 to 90 days of bank history and find one expense you completely forgot about. Maybe it's an unused subscription, repeated food delivery, unnecessary fees, or a spending habit that quietly added up. Then drop it in the comments and tell me what you discovered. And if this video helped you, hit the like button, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to stop guessing where their money goes. Remember, we're not just looking backward at our spending. We're using the past to build a stronger financial future. Because we are building real financial progress, one step at a time. I'll see you in the next video.